Are you ready for 1 hour of British English accents? We're going to begin with 30 examples of different accents that you'll find around the country. Now guys, just quickly, if you're looking for free resources to learn English, you are in the right place. I have a free pronunciation masterclass video called Speak Like a Local. I also have 101 great British words to speak like a local. I also have my 20 brilliant business English phrases, and I have my weekly newsletter, Bite Size Britain. You can get access to all of those for free in the links in the description below.
Whenever I eat a boiled egg, I say, sorry, Mr. Egg, as I bash its head in with a spoon. We used to draw faces on eggs, you know, and it was just a nice thing to do, you know. I'm sorry, Mr. Egg. You kind of make a little cut on it because your mum would show you how to do that, and you'd apologise when you'd done the best. And there's nothing like a boiled egg. And in fact, now, using your phone, you get the perfect timer for an egg now.
There'll be times when the world tries to make you think that's not true. There are so many things, systems, patterns and behaviours designed to make us feel less than because of our gender, our sexuality, our appearance or our background. We're Worth It is a reminder that it's not true. We all have value. So, when we come across bias, prejudice, bullying, online hate, anything like that, we have to remind the world that we're not going to take it. Because we're worth so much more.
First of all, you see this. The man them, when I say the man them, I mean people like me, we do not drink this. This is not for us. You see this now, on my, everything I love, this is one of my favourite drinks in the whole world. This is so fire. This is fire. This is what I wanted to see to represent Trinidad. Shandy Carib, it's really nice, it's lovely, refreshing. Yeah, this is a great drink. I'd highly recommend this. And this is already one, I can tell you. I can tell you this is already one.
Listen, she's actually sitting there. Apology to me would be, do you know what, Danny, I'm so sorry. She knew I was with James. She knew I was standing there. She was all over him. She wasn't like playing Miss Innocent the other night, was she? She's an absolute troublemaker.
But the thing is, Dan, I don't think anyone really knows her yet. Even me.
I don't think anyone even wants to know.
And I'll hold my hands up. I hope if I'm wrong, then I'll hold my hands up.
Oh, listen, I'm really good judging character. That there is a 24-carat.
Spent ages basically being a builder, putting all this together, and then when it came to actually opening the doors and actually then putting some food out for people to try, which was the whole point of this, I remember the first one I sent out, I had this moment where I was like, what if they don't like it? And I suppose anyone who puts some food out to the public for the first time always has that sort of moment where they're like, oh my God, what if they don't like it? What if it's rubbish? This was all enough for nothing.
Do you know what I love? Bahamas.
Bahamas?
Yeah, I went there in the summer. I've done like loads of mad stuff like swimming with pigs and that.
Swimming with pigs?
Yeah, where you go to like, it's like the Pig Island.
Okay.
Or something. So yeah, they're quite vicious actually. But like the whole holiday, I just loved it. I also like Dubai as well, but I think Bahamas is my favourite.
I liked it. I mean, my mum was, I think, a genuinely funny person, which is why I wanted to do the This Is My Life. I made a CD called Have You Seen This Man, which is where This Is My Life came from. And I just wanted to let people know that, A, Dudley's a great place, because it inspired me, and all my mates are from there, you know. And my mum was loved, you know, and appreciated for her humour and everything like that.
There were a few times in the rehearsal room, because rightly or wrongly, you don't get to rehearse that much, do you, with
normally for film, no.
Do you know what I mean? And I love that about theatre, that you're in a room for ages before anyone looks at it.
Yeah.
So it felt quite like a theatrical rehearsal period, but there was a couple of times in there I was petrified. When Polly was asking us to like...
run around the animals and...
Be fire.
Yeah, be fire, now be ice.
Be wind and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I had to let go of my inhibition.
To make the fight ugly, and it was an awkward, horrible night's work for me, but since the Andre Ward loss, I've had an unbelievable career and earned a fortune and gone out on a high. So that loss actually did me more good than harm. But I'm not an Andre Ward fan, because I'm not a fan of his style. He's got one of them styles where... Do you ever re-watch an Andre Ward fight? Do you ever rush home and say, I want to see that again? You don't like the kind of fights I like then. I like the Arturo Gattis and the Mickey Ward type of fights. Floyd Mayweather's been offensive. I'm not going to get into an argument over Andre Ward and his boring, horrible style, because I've got TV broadcasters, HBO and Showtime, stood behind me. They don't want to show his fights because he's boring.
I mean, this is probably my worst tattoo, even though it's pretty small. It's not great quality amongst all my tattoos, but this is pretty horrific. The lines aren't straight. It was meant to be an X. I mean, that looks all right there, if I put my finger over it. Take it away, horrible, horrible. I think almost by accident, especially here, it's almost a bit like sketchpad, notepad kind of vibe, you know what I mean?
Well, it means I think of the song and I think of, like, what's the context, how should it sound, what should the instruments do, how fast should it be, what key should it be in, and, you know, I have my own studio. I built a studio in Leeds, and it's got loads of different instruments. It's a real playground for me. It's got a big grand piano, and I play drums, and I've got my guitars and basses, and I just use it as a place to kind of dream and imagine and mess around and see what I can come up with.
Do you remember that wet fish shop in Hull at Monument Bridge?
Oh, yeah, it used to stink, didn't it? They used to start swilling it about 5 o'clock. Oh, no, the water used to come out to school, all of your best shoes. You're going out on a Saturday night, your feet stunk of fish because it was swilling all the bloody fish out the shop.
Bloody hell, I bet that covered a load of sins for
Yeah,
you.
it did.
Oh. Do you remember the last time when
Yeah.
we went out with Jane as well?
Yeah.
And went to Liverpool again?
Yeah, and we went in that bedroom with the 7 beds.
Yeah.
Like the 7.
And in the morning, you couldn't find your knickers.
I couldn't find my frock, my knickers, my frock. I couldn't find anything.
When Halle Berry cried in her speech, I remember I was moved. I was glad that she won. I remember she was so moved, but now I really get it. And now I've been here and I've lived the experience of being a black actress here. I really get why she was so goddamn moved, because it really is tough, actually.
Would you rather listen to Kanye or Drake? It's a tough one. Old school Kanye I love, but I think Drake being way more consistent. Would you rather be really famous or be anonymous? Oh, wow. That is a tough question. Bit of both, to be honest. But if I had to choose one, I'd say be really famous.
What kind of problems does it bring being recognised all the time?
The most awkward thing is when someone knows you and asks you for a picture, and then someone else who doesn't know you will come over and be like, who are you? Or what do you do? And it's like, you've got to explain who you are and why people are asking for pictures.
It was a nightmare, because all you want to do is go out on the pitch and impress them and try and make the team better. Well, I couldn't, and I was rushing my injury. I think I did it twice when I was there, and finally I had to get an operation on it, and I was trying everything. There was a time when this doctor come over and he started, like, getting all this grass and putting it around my leg and stuff like that, and I'm looking at him, he looked like Captain Birdseye, and I'm looking at him and I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing?
You can enjoy getting dressed up and looking nice, and if you do, then, you know, and I do, then maybe I'm lucky. I did a couple of things. Yeah, I did sort of an EP, and I did a couple of guest vocals on like Mint Royale track, and weirdly that was like
your
bigger hit. Yeah, so that was really good fun, and I co-wrote that song, so that was lovely to write the words, and you know, like they sort of built a track, and then I sang and a melody.
Well, we went up to we did Jules Holland, and then went straight up to St James's, and my saxophone player Johnny got on the statue and started playing Local Hero, and 5,000 Geordies just started singing along.
Because of the club takeover?
Yeah, because Ashley's out, yeah, and everyone passed us, everyone I'd seen. I did about 1,000 selfies, got proper mobbed, and they gave us, but everyone was absolutely class, and they gave us a lot of cans, and I'm really hungover. I'm really, really hungover.
And my life is about my son, so I crawl around the playground in shorts and a vest and flip-flops, and it's heartbreaking leaving him for 20 days, but big gig Olympics came along. Of course. I thought, do you know what, I'm going to go, I'm going to put my best foot forward, I'm going to make the most of the opportunity to wear nice dresses and wear heels.
And you look beautiful.
It became a bit of a laugh in the office because they kept saying, why are you wearing those heels? And I said, because I live in flip-flops. I can walk around in heels. I'm going to enjoy myself and wear outfits that I felt good in, that made me feel good.
I was kind of used to gay girls at the front shouting stuff at me, just going, you know, come on, admit it. And this gig in Dublin, the girl at the front just goes, Katie, you're a lesbian. And I went, well, you know, I don't really want to say, no, I'm not. That sounds like I'm kind of being, you know, very defensive and offensive, perhaps. And no one else heard what she said. And so I was like, she just said that I was a lesbian. And I'm not. And then she, for the rest of the gig, tried to get my attention.
Everywhere you go as a tourist, people speak English. But when you've got a Scottish accent, that's very little help. I've run holidays and I've had people translate for me into English. And you walk into a pub and say, are you still serving food? You get that shit. I was in America. I'd done a gig in America, in New York, and after the gig, a guy said to me, hey, buddy, are you actually Scottish? And I said, yes. And he said, man, your English is really good.
Right then, we're going to speak about Orkney dialect today.
Spoken in Orkney, sometimes called the Orkney Islands, well known for farming and fishing, archaeology and tourism.
An example of a word you would hear an Orkney dialect speaker saying is peedy. It's an adjective. It's the most frequently used Orkney word for little or small.
Don't give me too much soup, I only want a peedy grain.
Well, that's the most famous expression we have in all of Ireland, crack. When you say, what's a crack, like that's the first thing you say to someone from home, like, what's a crack? How's it going? What are you up to? It's sort of all-encompassing. It's like, oh, we had great crack last night. That means that the crack was good.
I just thought it was just an opportunity of a lifetime, just a once in a lifetime, just a once off. And I went, and I never ever expected for 1 minute that I would get as far as I did, and I just kept getting through to the next round, and then the next round, I was thinking, why are they still letting me through? But they were, and then it just got out of control, and no, it wasn't like that, it just got too hard to tell them. And there was one time when we were asked our age, and it was just when we had to write it in the first day at the open auditions, we had to write our date of birth, and then from then on it wasn't asked.
I'm lucky, I'm one of the few characters that doesn't wear a wig.
Although you did say this morning you wish you did have one.
I did, this morning I wanted to wear a wig because it means you get to spend more time in makeup, you know, chatting, and I'm always a happier man when I leave the makeup trailer than when I enter it. You know, it's a good way to start your day. I think possibly for the producers and the creators there's a pressure, which is, you know, understandable, you know, and palpable. But for us as actors, it's like any other job. You know, you go in and you do the work.
Happy St David's Day. It's March the 1st, the time of year when we celebrate this country we call Wales, being Welsh and our patron St David. But what do we know about him? Well, I can tell you a few things, like he didn't drink beer, he didn't eat meat, he didn't believe in flashy clothes or even using animals to plough the fields. But there are more legendary stories and miracles which make him so remarkable.
I didn't realise I was that fat, I've got to be honest. And when I seen it, I thought they'd done something to the photo. I mean, have a look at that, it's terrible, isn't it?
No.
But yeah.
That doesn't look bad at all.
I don't think
what are
that
you
looks
talking
bad.
about?
Oh, but it was. There's worse than that, Dal. There's a lot worse than that. And yeah, but when I see these pictures, it actually just inspires me to go to the gym. And I think it's great. I don't think there's anything wrong with it whatsoever.
Well, I mean, with the Devon dialect, there's traceable back to Anglo-Saxon, French, Dutch, German, you know, so I think they obviously get watered down over the period, like Drexel, which is the door threshold. You know, Dreck coming from the German soil, mud, and Drexel.
Right.
But then the S's get dropped in Devon, so it's Z, so it's Drexel.
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 Well, most S's become Zs.
Yeah, and F's becomes V's.
Yeah.
So farmer becomes varmer.
Varmer.
Yeah.
The Varmers.
The Varmers.
I would have thought so. It's your heritage.
Yeah.
You know, it's what's been handed down to us from our forefathers. You've got to be proud of it. If you're not proud of where you come from, what else can you be proud of?
No, it's not, and it is very serious. And your point's absolutely the right one. If people who were involved in setting the rules were actually quite flexible about the rules in their own lives, were the rules really necessary? And what I want to see from the inquiry is looking at whether the rules were right.
The idea somehow that I'm going to go on exactly the same way if I have to succeed is complete nonsense, because the two situations are completely different. This is entirely because I worry about your grandchildren and everybody else's grandchildren as well as my own.
When you say, what's a crack, like that's the first thing you say to someone from home, like, what's a crack? How's it going? What are you up to? It's sort of all-encompassing.
That was a Belfast accent.
Well, we went up to, we did Jules Holland and then went straight up to St James's in my saxophone player, Johnny.
That was a Geordie accent, which is from Newcastle.
First of all, you see this. The man them, when I say the man them, I mean people like me, we do not drink this. This is not for us. You see this now, on my, everything I love, this is one of my favourite drinks in the whole world.
That was a multicultural London English accent.
Would you rather be really famous or be anonymous? Oh, wow. That is a tough question. Bit of both, to be honest. But if I had to choose one, I'd say be really famous.
That was a Scouse accent, which is from Liverpool.
I I didn't realise I was that fat, I got to be honest. And when I seen it, I thought they'd done something to the photo. I mean, have a look at that, it's terrible, isn't it? And yeah, but when I see these pictures, it actually just inspires me to go to the gym.
That was a Bristolian accent, which is from Bristol.
Listen, she's actually sitting there. Apology to me would be, do you know what, Danny, I'm so sorry. She knew I was with James. She knew I was standing there. She was all over him. She weren't like playing Miss Innocent the other night, was she?
That was an Essex accent.
But what do we know about him? Well, I can tell you a few things, like he didn't drink beer, he didn't eat meat, he didn't believe in flashy clothes or even using animals to plough the fields.
That was a South Wales accent.
Do you know what I love? Bahamas.
Bahamas?
Yeah, I went there in the summer. I've done like loads of mad stuff like swimming with pigs and that.
Swimming with pigs?
Yeah, where you go to like, it's like the Pig Island.
Okay.
Or something.
That was a Brummie accent, which is from Birmingham. All right, let's move on to look at posh British English accents, and in particular conservative RP, or received pronunciation as it's also known. This is a little masterclass showing you the pronunciation features that people who speak with this accent would use. Now, this isn't an accent that is used very widely in Britain. Only a few people use it, but it's very famous and very distinct. I think you might like it. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to give you the most refined of English lessons because I'm going to be showing you how to speak just like a posh British person. Like the Queen or someone as posh as her. There's no one as posh. She's the poshest. Anyway, I've got my monocle and my dicky bow. Hippity hop, away we go. If you do truly aspire to sound like the Queen, there are a number of sounds and words that you must use. Now, the first example is the word city. Now, let's hear that said by the common man. Hi, I'm Tom, the ordinary man, not posh like him. City. I see. This is not how the Queen would say it. The Queen, or more refined people, would say city. City. That's right. We squash that sound at the end. It's a short I. Repeat after me. City. Pretty. Very. Very good. You have a very pretty face. Now, that also leads on to my next sound, which is the tapped R. It's not your regular R, it's a little tapped. It's very. The tongue is hitting the roof of the mouth to create that tapped sound. Very. Very. Another example, marry. Marry. I desire to marry her. Now, another sound that you will need if you want to sound like a posh British person is the yod. Now, the yod is the y sound. Now, we retain that in traditional received pronunciation. So, for example, dew, dew. It's not like this, dew. It's dew. Perhaps you're having some sushi, you might say you can have the tuna. The tuna. This very platform. The Queen would say YouTube. Not YouTube. No, YouTube. This is a wonderful opportunity for you to learn proper English. Now, of course, we do like the R sound as well. Bath, laugh, calf, half, arf, lots of R's, basically. Ha ha, ha ha, R. The next sound that I'd like to talk to you about is the off sound. Now, in some accents, it's off. For example, I would say off, off. But when posh British people say it, it's or. So, for example, off. Turn off the television. Turn off the television. Let's hear Queenie say it.
And you can't look down to read the speech. You have to take the speech up. Because if you did, your neck would break. It would fall off.
Ah, perfection. Another word, cough. Not cough. Goodness gracious me. Cough. I've got a bit of a tickly cough, actually. Yes, a bit of a tickly cough. One last sound I'd like to look at is the smoothing of triphthongs. In particular, the R sound. In most accents in Britain, you might hear this sound. I would say tower, power, hour, shower. Yeah, that's how I would say it. When truly posh people say it, it sounds like this. Sha, pa, ah. I'll say it again. Sha, pa, ah. Thank you very much. Yes, that is one of my favourite sounds. Let me put that into an example sentence for you. David Garr had a pa sha for an ah. That sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Yes, I know. Now it's time to look at some vocabulary that's very common in posh British English. The first example, jolly good. Oh, jolly good. One of my favourite phrases. It's a way to show pleasure, you know, to show approval or excitement. If someone has done something, you say, oh, jolly good. Also, we can include jolly good show. So let's say your favourite polo team has scored a goal, you could say, jolly good show. Now, one phrase to show surprise, golly gosh. That's right, golly gosh. Perhaps one of your horses has jumped over the fence and run away. You could say, oh, golly gosh. Oh, golly gosh. A great show of surprise. Now, one of our favourite sports in the United Kingdom is rugby. But perhaps there's other ways to say rugby. We could say rugger, rugger. Oh, I did like to play a game of rugger when I was young. Rugger. A very nice way to address someone could be old bean. You could say, ah, good morning, old bean. Very nice way to address a fellow gentleman, I would say, particularly. Hello, old bean, how are you? You can vary that, old fruit, you know, hello, old fruit. Now, when you're with your chums, another word for friends, and perhaps you have a few too many drinks, you could say, I was rather blotto. I was rather blotto last night. And that, of course, means a little bit drunk, a little bit tipsy, if you will. Yes, blotto. How would the common man say that? Blotto. Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I'd say, like, pissed or drunk or hammered, battered, loads of words, but not blotto. Yeah, oh dear. Well, I think those words are rather beastly. Beastly is a fantastic word that posh people use to say that they disapprove of something. If something is beastly or ghastly, they don't like it. So using those kinds of informal words, to me, rather beastly. One of my favourite sounding words in the English language, poppycock. That's right, together now, poppycock. What does poppycock mean? Well, it's another way to say nonsense. Nonsense. So perhaps your old grandfather is a little bit blotto and he's saying some very, very strange things. You could say, Grandpapa, you're speaking absolute poppycock. Of course, I would never say that to him, far too rude, but poppycock is nonsense. To show that something is truly great, you could say spiffing. So, for example, your mama suggests that we go for a picnic. You could say, oh, spiffing. And that's a great show of approval to show that you think it's a good idea. Great. It often collocates with other words like a spiffing idea or a spiffing day. You know, those kinds of words. A nice way to show agreement with someone is to say, rather. Rather. That's right. So when you're at dinner and someone says that the dessert, perhaps a spotted dick, is delicious, you can say, oh, rather. It's a way to agree with them in a very polite way. How would the common man say that? Let's find out. I'd probably just say yeah, or like yeah, totally, or 100%. I'd say that. I'd say 100%. Oh yeah, 100%. Not rather. Another phrase to show that something is a surprise or worrying you in some way, you could say crumbs. Crumbs. Perhaps a neighbour tells you that there was a burglary on the street. You could say, oh, crumbs. And that's to show concern, to show worry. Now there are, of course, many, many words that posh British people use, and if you know any others, please pop them into the comments below, okay? I do hope you've enjoyed today's lesson, and perhaps you could incorporate some of these words into your English if you do want to sound very, very, very posh, like me, like moi, like me. I thank you, one and all, for taking the time to watch this silly little video, this little thing of mine. But until next time, this is Sir Thomas of London, the Chief Dreamer, saying goodbye. Goodbye. Bye-bye. Tiddly-pip. Oh, one last phrase. Tiddly-pip. Tiddly-pip, very posh way to say goodbye. Tiddly-pip. The Premier League is a global phenomenon, and I wanted to show you the variety of different British English accents that the players use. So, I've picked out a few famous players like Harry Kane, Bukayo Saka, Trent Alexander-Arnold, people like that, and I wanted to analyse their accents for you so that when you watch interviews with them, you have a better understanding of how they speak.
I feel like my game's been evolving over the last 3-4 years anyway.
But we've stuck to what we're good at.
Yeah, you know, the past few days, past few weeks, I just couldn't wait for this game.
Yeah, I'm really happy with that stat, and I just want to keep improving on it every game.
He changed a couple of things in the second half, and I think it was much better in possession. And
you know, all of a sudden it's 2-2,
and you don't know quite what's happened.
I've chosen 9 British Premier League football stars, and I'm going to break down their accents and teach you the key pronunciation features, so that not only will you be able to identify their accents better, you'll also be able to understand them better. Now let's start with Liverpool star Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah, it was an important one for us, you know, every game's important, but we've stuck to our game plan.
Trent Alexander-Arnold is from Liverpool and speaks with a Scouse accent. That's the accent of Liverpool. Now, this accent is very distinct, and there are many features that really tell you that someone is from the city of Liverpool. In this example, Trent Alexander-Arnold is replacing the final T sound with a kind of H sound, a kind of H, H. So it's not but it's buh, buh, that kind of H sound there. Now, this is a really typical feature of the accent of Liverpool.
Oh, every game is important, but
he does it in other examples like these ones.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that, you know, going into the game, you know what kind of team they are. They wanna suck you into their way of playing. But we've stuck to what we're good at.
Okay, did you hear that? So we knew that kind of sound, so that, and then instead of at, we've got ah. So we've got buh, that, and ah. Very, very unique to Liverpool. You won't hear this sound anywhere else in the UK.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that, you know, going into the game, you know what kind of team they are. They wanna suck you into their way of playing. But we've stuck to what we're good at.
If you want examples of football players or former football players who speak with a Scouse accent, look no further than Jamie Carragher, Steven Gerrard and Wayne Rooney. Okay, let's move on to look at Manchester City star Jack Grealish's accent.
Yeah, no, I loved it. Been waiting a while. And
okay, Jack Grealish has such a distinct accent. Even though he plays for Manchester City, he's actually from Birmingham, so he speaks with a Brummie accent. Now, what we're going to look at today is his diphthong sounds, and particularly the A sound, which you hear on game, on day, on wait. However, he says it with a slightly different sound. So it's not A, it's I. So it'd be gaim and die and white. That Brummie accent, die, gaim, white. All right, my version isn't particularly accurate. Let's go back to Jack. Jack does it better than I do.
Been waiting a while, and yeah, you know, the past few days, past few weeks, I just couldn't wait for this game, obviously in particular. And
all right, so you got that waiting a while.
Been waiting a while, and
what else do we have?
Couldn't wait for this game, obviously in particular. And
I couldn't wait for the game, right? So you've got that I sound, that I instead of A. So there's definitely a diphthong change. Now, a diphthong is just 2 vowel sounds put together. So, as I say, with sort of received pronunciation, you might have game, day, wait, whereas in a Brummie accent, in Jack Grealish's accent, you've got die, gaim, white. Now, it's really important to say here that there is, of course, no right or wrong accent. Everyone has their own accent. It's unique to them, and no one has a better accent or a worse accent. No, it's just an accent. It's a part of you. Now, accents tell us so much about someone. It could tell you where they are from. It could tell you their socioeconomic background. It could tell you their race, their age. There's so much going on in an accent, and as I say, everyone's accent is a little bit different. So this is Jack Grealish's accent. I personally love it. I think it's such a strong, rich accent, and it really tells us like he's from this part of the world, not from any other part of the world. He's from Birmingham. It really is a strong part of his identity. Let's move on to his fellow Manchester City teammate, Phil Foden.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I thought we had a sloppy first half and let them get back into the game.
Okay, we've got Phil Foden here. He's from Stockport, which is in Greater Manchester. Now, the pronunciation feature that I want to focus on is the H sound, that sort of H, and actually the way he drops that sound quite often in his spoken English. Let's have a listen.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I thought we had a sloppy first half and let them get back into the game.
Right, so first half, not half, half, right? Half. He's dropping that H.
But you know, we got in at half time.
Okay, he does it again there. Half time, right? Not half time, half. So that H is gone. Now, what's interesting is that in this example, he does use the H sound.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. We looked a bit heavy.
So you see there, heavy. It doesn't say heavy, it's heavy. Okay, so sometimes he's using the H, sometimes he's dropping the H. Let's listen to a few more examples.
The manager wasn't happy, and I think was much better in possession and hurt them a lot more in behind with the space. So
he's dropped the H on happy. Then in this example, he keeps the H on hurt, but then drops it in behind, so it's behind.
The manager wasn't happy, and I think was much better in possession and hurt them a lot more in behind with the space. So
right, so even in one sentence, he's using the H and then dropping it. And this is absolutely crucial to understanding accents, is that the consistency of I always drop an H or I always use an H, it's not really true. It all depends on the moment. Now, because it's spontaneous speech, the sounds that we use might be different to how we normally speak. So I know, for example, when I speak, if I'm really thinking clearly about it, yeah, I'll probably say my H's, I'll say my T's. But if I'm reacting to something, then I might drop the H, I might drop the T. If I'm speaking in anger or excitement, possibly some sounds will change because there's emotion involved. So I think that's really important to understand, is that with someone's accent, you're not rigidly stuck to always saying certain words in certain ways. Actually, the reality is that we say the same word in different ways at different moments. And I think that's really important to remember. Okay, let's do one more Manchester City player. I promise it's not all Manchester City players. But this is Kyle Walker, who's from Sheffield in Yorkshire.
We knew it was going to be tough. Obviously, it's an FA Cup, as I know, growing up here.
Okay, so I've talked about this one before, but one of the clear defining features of a northern accent compared to a southern accent is the sound. Now, on the word tough there, Kyle Walker says it tough.
We knew it was going to be tough.
I say it tough, with that sound, because I'm from London, I'm from the south of England. But in the north of England, accents from Yorkshire, from Lancashire, further north, it's an sound. So he says tough.
Obviously, it's an FA Cup, as I know, growing up here.
Right, I would say cup and up. He says cup and up. Okay, let's swing down south to the capital, London, and we're going to listen to West Ham United's player, Mark Noble.
As you say, we stuck in, defended well, and inside got a lovely little goal at the end, which was fantastic.
Okay, Mark Noble is from the East End of London, Canning Town, and he speaks with a traditional Cockney accent. There are several features that we could look at in his accent, but the one I want to look at is that vocalised L sound, which I think is a classic Cockney feature. So on the word well, you can hear the way I'm saying it with a dark L, well. But when it's vocalised in a Cockney accent, it's well, right? Well. And that sound has changed to, the way I hear it is a kind of w sound. I mean, it's not technically that, but that's the way that I hear it. So it's well. That kind of broad sound, well, comes back, well. He also does it here, little, and go, right? It's not goal, it's go. So well, little, and go.
As you say, we stuck in, defended well, and inside got a lovely little goal at the end, which was fantastic.
Now, another player from London is Tottenham star Harry Kane. He speaks with an accent that has Cockney features, but also maybe other features too. We kind of call this estuary English. Now, as I say, it's really hard to define people's accents as one true thing. I think perhaps, in the case of Mark Noble, it's quite easy to say, okay, he speaks with a Cockney accent. Someone like Harry Kane, definitely Cockney features, has grown up in northeast London, so has lots of influences of Cockney culture, but maybe there are other influences too. So let's listen to Harry Kane, how he speaks, and see if we can pick out some features as well.
No, I'm not sure. I think obviously City pressed well and made it difficult.
Okay, there's lots to look at in Harry Kane's accent. I think in a previous video we looked at the glottal T and how he uses that. This time I want to look at something called TH fronting and how he uses the F sound instead of th. So for example, instead of think, he says think, right? I think, obviously.
No, I'm not sure. I think, obviously, I feel like my game's been evolving over the last 3-4 years anyway.
He also said there, the last 3 or 4. The last 3 or 4, not 3 or 4. Now that's a feature that is used in lots of accents, in a Cockney accent, in the north, in some accents in the north as well. So yeah, that's a feature that's not just distinctive to London, it can be found across the country. Okay, let's switch across the North London divide from Tottenham to Arsenal and look at the accent of Bukayo Saka.
Yeah, it was much better, you know. Saturday was disappointing for us, you know, to be knocked out of the FA Cup.
Okay, Bukayo Saka speaks with something called Multicultural London English. This is an accent that is relatively new. I've spoken about it a few times here on my channel. It's an accent that has lots of influences. So it has influences from Cockney, but then also influences from the immigrant groups that have come to London. So primarily the Caribbean community. So it's a real melting pot of an accent, lots of different pronunciation features, intonation and stress patterns. The feature that I want to look at here is also the TH. Now we looked at that with Harry Kane, with his TH fronting of F instead of th. So Bukayo Saka does that, but he also does something else. Let's have a look.
The boss, you know, he makes everything clear for me and at the same time gives me the freedom to go and do what I want to do in the final third. So yeah, I'm really happy with that.
Okay, so he says the final third. All right, so that third is the same as, is similar to Harry Kane, how he would say it. So the final third, that F, that F sound. But when we get to the other TH sound, it's a bit different.
Game after game, we take it, you know. I know everyone always says that, but we have to do that.
All right, so in that example, he says to do that. To do that.
But we have to do that.
So instead of that vocalized the sound, he's actually saying that. So do that. So that's a feature of an MLE accent for sure. It's a very common feature. But Bukayo Saka doesn't just leave it there. He doesn't just say a d on every sound that might be the. Actually, he switches it up. He changes it depending on the moment. Let's have a listen.
We got the victory that we deserved.
Okay, we got the victory that we deserve. So the, right? So he's using that the sound. So once again, this is an example of spontaneous speech and how our accents change depending on the moment. Other players that speak with an MLE accent include Emile Smith-Rowe, Wilfried Zaha, Jadon Sancho and Raheem Sterling. All right, we've got 2 more accents to go. Let's go back to Liverpool. Their left back, Andy Robertson.
You know, from the corner, we could have probably defended it a bit better and then...
Okay, as you might have been able to tell, Andy Robertson is from Scotland, specifically from Glasgow. He speaks with a really great, quite strong Glaswegian accent. Now, the feature that I want to look at is the I sound that changes to a kind of eh sound. So listen to this example.
You know, from the corner, we could have probably defended it a bit better and then...
Right, so on bit, as I would say it, bit, he's saying bat, right? It's a kind of eh sound. So a bat, batter, right? A bat, batter. Again, not a great example. I apologise. Let's go back to Andy Robertson. He does it better.
Probably defended it a bit better. And...
Okay, I've got so many examples of this. Here with think, it's thank.
It was up to us to try and keep the 3 points for the last 10 minutes, and I think we've done that pretty well.
Thank, that sound. It's a very subtle sound. Thank, and then instead of pretty, pletty.
It was up to us to try and keep the 3 points for the last 10 minutes, and I think we've done that pretty well.
I think pretty well. I'm sorry to anyone from Scotland. My accent, I know it's terrible. I know, all right? Forgive me.
It's you know, you get an important 3 points, but today, you know, you went ugly.
Okay, I've got more examples. You won, right? Not win, won.
Today, you know, you went ugly.
Okay, let's go back down south. We're going to go to the Everton goalkeeper, Jordan Pickford.
I don't know. I think attitude, you know, working as a team.
Okay, Jordan Pickford is from Sunderland and speaks with a Mackem accent. This is in the northeast of England. It's a very distinct accent. Again, I can't really do it. I won't even try to do the impression of him. In this example, what we have here is a glottalized k sound. Now, we've heard about a glottalized T, right? Water, better, butter. But here he's glottalizing the k, which is also possible. He says working, right? Instead of working, it's glottalized. So he's kind of swallowing the sound. It's kind of staying just here in the throat. Working. And this is a feature of a Mackem accent. In fact, a few accents in the northeast of England.
I don't know. I think attitude, you know, working as a team.
If you would like me to do the accents of non-British football players in the Premier League, then leave me a comment below, all right? So tell me below whose accent you'd like me to feature in that video. All right, in this section, I wanted to teach you accents through popular culture, and in particular, my favorite TV show, Peaky Blinders. Peaky Blinders, if you haven't seen, is a show on BBC that is set in Birmingham in the sort of 1900s, and it's all about a gang called the Peaky Blinders and their crimes and their dramas and all kinds of stuff. It's really good. Now, the accents that we find are fantastic. They are primarily Birmingham accents, but also we're going to get Cockney accents and other ones as well. I think once you've watched this video, you might start watching Peaky Blinders. Enjoy. My name is Tommy Shelby, and I'm going to be teaching you English. Yes, EC Dreamers, welcome back to another lesson with me, Tom, or today, more accurately, Tommy Shelby. Today we're looking at Peaky Blinders, one of my favourite shows. And if you've never seen it before, this is a show set in Birmingham, England, around the early 20th century, and it's all about a gang called the Peaky Blinders, led by their boss, Tommy Shelby.
I hear there needs to be some certainty in the south. Some of my people were attacked.
Let's start by talking about Birmingham, where Peaky Blinders is set. Birmingham is a city in the middle of England, in the Midlands as we call it. Now because of that, it shares different pronunciation features from the north and from the south. It's a kind of blend of accents. A lot of people say it has a kind of sing-song nature to it. And today we're going to focus on two main characters in Peaky Blinders. We're going to look at Tommy Shelby and we're going to look at Alfie Solomon, who has a very different accent. Now, if we think about Tommy Shelby, he speaks very quietly, almost like a whisper. He speaks like this, and the accent is very soft, very measured, quiet tones.
John, you caught Angel Changretta.
Okay, so there's the first word, cooked, cooked. Now this is a very distinguishing feature in England. In the southern accents, that's cut with an ah. But in the northern accents, it's cooked. Now there's a big divide here. In the south, words are either or So you've got cut, and you've got look, But in the northern accents, in Liverpool, Manchester, Newcastle, they only have So it'll be cooked, cooked. Now, Birmingham is in the middle of England, but it shares that same sound with the north. So it'll be cooked, it'll be look, things like that.
John, you caught Angel Changretta.
Okay, let's find another example of this sound.
And now I've got an Italian walking around my backyard saying he's going to kill my brother.
Okay, there it is, brother, brother. In the south of England, it's brother, but in Birmingham and northern accents, brother.
Saying he's going to kill my brother. It was just something John said as a joke.
Aha, here's another great example. The word joke there, the O sound, that diphthong. Now, in Brummie, it's a very wide sound, okay? So it's not joke, it's joke, joke. Now, my impression isn't fantastic, don't get me wrong, but you can hear that sound, right? It's a slightly wider, broader vowel sound, joke. Similar to other words like boat or vote, things like that. You can hear that wider sound. Very typical in a Brummie accent.
It was just something John said as a joke. We'll be here any minute.
Now, I said earlier, a feature of a Brummie accent is that melody, that sing-song nature, and you've got that right there in his intonation. He kind of sings it a little bit. It definitely distinguishes a Brummie accent from other accents in England.
We'll be here any minute.
You'll be here in a minute. Okay, you hear that kind of up at the end there. Really interesting, very distinctive.
Put 10 sacks of flour onto Mr. McCavan's boat.
Okay, you got boat again there, boat. A bit of a rounder sound there, just like we had earlier.
Put 10 sacks of flour onto Mr. McCavan's boat. I like ya.
I like ya. I like ya. Okay, this time Arthur Shelby gets involved. That broad I sound there. It's not like, it's like. Like. Similar to a kind of a Cockney accent almost. It's kind of that broad vowel sound, like. That would be Cockney, like. This is kind of like, it's kind of similar. And then yeah, so not you, but yeah. Again, a feature in a Brummie accent.
I like you. I do. You're a man after my own heart.
Okay, he says the word after there. This is another example of that north-south divide. In the south of England, that would be after, the R sound, but in the northern accents, it's after. And here in the Brummie accent, they've taken the northern sounds and used them. So he says after, not after. There are lots of examples of that sound. So you've got bath, not bath, afternoon, not afternoon, laugh, not laugh, etc.
You're a man after my own heart. Said if he sees Billy Boy here, he'll cut his throat.
Okay, nice one here. So cut again with that sound, and then throat, that wide vowel sound again, just like we had earlier with boat. Throat comes again.
He'll cut his throat.
Okay, so the main accent in Peaky Blinders is the Brummie accent, and we've looked at Tommy Shelby and Arthur Shelby as well. Now, let's look at one of the other distinctive accents from Alfie Solomons, my favourite character in the show.
Ishmael, please, will you hit the call of prayer?
Now, his accent is a London accent. He's a Jewish gangster from Camden Town in North London, but he has a kind of London, Cockney London accent with influences from kind of Jewish culture. It's an amazing accent. Let's listen.
Stretch your legs, Treacle. But he looks like he's grown. Since we left London, he's like a mushroom, isn't he? He grows in the dark.
Bit of piss.
There you go. Yeah, well, the place is a hole, yeah, so why don't you just knock yourself out?
All right, some great vocabulary here. First of all, treacle. Treacle is just like an affectionate term for someone, right? It's definitely a very London Cockney term. All right, treacle, like, all right, mate, would be another way of saying that. Next word he says is shithole. Oh my goodness, what a word. Now, what is shithole? It's just a crap area. It's a rubbish area. An area that you just think is no good, right? Nothing good about it. It's boring or dirty, dangerous, is crumbling down, whatever it might be. So he describes this area as being right? A very informal term. He also says knock yourself out. Now, why does he say knock yourself out? Well, the guy that works for him wants to go to the toilet. And he says, yeah, knock yourself out. Like, do what you want, right? So to knock yourself out, if you say knock yourself out to someone, it means, yeah, do what you want. Like, whatever you want to do, yeah, go for it. So maybe your kid says, can I have a chocolate cake? You say, yeah, knock yourself out. Like, yeah. Do what you want. So often comes after a request, right? Someone requests something, you would say, yeah, knock yourself out.
I remember looking around and thinking, you know, if this is hell, it looks a lot like Margate.
Okay, what a quote. If this is hell, it looks a lot like Margate. Margate is a seaside town in the south of England. Now, I want to focus on that word hell there. Hell, usually in an RP accent, you've got a dark L. Hell, hell. But in a London Cockney accent like he's got, it's replaced with a kind of a W sound almost. It's like hell. If this is hell, it looks a lot like Margate. And he uses that W sound on the L's quite a bit in this conversation.
If this is hell, it looks a lot like Margate.
Maybe that's just what hell looks like, eh?
Okay, and Tommy Shelby responds there with the same words. He uses that dark L sound, that hell, right? He doesn't use hell. He's using the more standard form, right? That hell. Then he uses that broad vowel sound on like again. Like, right? Slightly broader.
Maybe that's just what hell looks like, eh?
That is how God sees us both in his eyes.
Okay, another classic feature of a Cockney accent is that TH fronting. So instead of both with that th sound, it's replaced with a f sound, so it's both. And he uses that right there.
That is how God sees us both in his eyes.
You wrote me a letter, Alfie.
Did I?
Yeah, you asked about your dog.
Another example of that ah sound in the Brummie accent, choosing to go with the northern version rather than the southern version. So in the south, you'd have asked, that R sound, but in the north is asked, and he uses that ah sound, which is what they would use in a Brummie accent.
Yeah, you asked about your dog. I'm gonna shoot Oswald Mosley.
Just one more example there of that O sound, slightly broader, Mosley. Mosley. It's not Mosley, Mosley. Kind of broader, wider sound. Interestingly, in Birmingham, there is an area called Mosley, so yeah, it kind of fits.
Right, well, I hope you do a better job on him than the one you've done on me.
Interesting features here. He's using a glottal T on better, so it's not better, it's better. better, very common in a Cockney accent. Then im, so he's dropping the H there, the im, and he's using an irregular verb form. He's saying done on me instead of did on me. It should be the past tense, right? But he's using the past participle done. Again, this is a non-standard form that might be used in certain accents, maybe in a Cockney accent, for example. So yeah, it's not incorrect, it's just different.
Right, well, I hope you do a better job on him than the one you done on me. And I hear you still have some standing in the Jewish community.
There's that Brummie intonation again, community. So it's kind of going up at the end there. He also used the sum, not some, so that feature again that we heard earlier. So yeah, that sentence really sounds very typically Brummie. He does a really good job there, I think.
And I hear you still have some standing in the Jewish community. Since my resurrection, I am considered to be a god.
A feature that's definitely shared between the Brummie accent and the London Cockney accent is those broad vowel sounds. There, I. Huge, right? He's really opened his mouth to pronounce that sound. And that would also be a feature in a Brummie accent, that I, you know, it's a bit broader, I. Whereas in received pronunciation, it's a shorter sound, it's I. But in, yeah, Cockney, I. And in Brummie, I.
So you think if you kill him, you will kill the message.
This is a fantastic sentence to showcase that dark L turning to a W sound in a London Cockney accent. So kill and you. He also does the im there as well. So if you kill him, drops that H.
So you think if you kill him, you will kill the message.
I hope that video has kind of shed a light on what's going on in these accents. There's obviously so much more in Peaky Blinders that we could look at, lots of other different accents. If you'd like a second Peaky Blinders video, let me know in the comments below. I hope you've enjoyed this, guys. Let me know. Hit that like button, share this video, and wear a flat cap. This is Tommy Shelby, the Chief Dreamer, saying goodbye.
All right, we're finishing up with one of the most well-known actors in Britain, Emma Watson, and we're going to look at her contemporary received pronunciation accent.
Today we're looking at the British English accent of Emma Watson and how she's able to change it from this
I'm Hermione Granger.
to this.
Hey guys, how sick is Channing Tatum's bod?
Now I'm sure you know of Emma Watson. She is a hugely successful British actress. She made her name playing Hermione Granger in the Harry Potter series.
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Now let's talk about her British English accent. She speaks in contemporary RP.
You post something on your Instagram account and you get instant feedback.
RP stands for received pronunciation. Now this is part 2 of my series about received pronunciation. In part 1 we looked at the Queen's English. Very formal, extremely posh. Now, as you can guess from the name, contemporary RP is a more modern version of the Queen's English. There are certain similarities, but there are also quite a few differences. Contemporary RP it's a more relaxed, informal version of the Queen's English, but it still maintains that emphasis on clarity and articulation.
I'm here with BuzzFeed. I'm playing with tiny cute kittens. My day is made.
There's our first word, kittens, kittens. Now, as a lot of you will have gathered by now, the T sound in British English is extremely important, and it's a great indicator of what accent someone has. So just there for Emma Watson, she said kittens. She used a glottal T. She didn't fully pronounce that T sound. She said kittens, kittens. She kind of stopped just before she pronounced the T, so kittens. Kittens. That's a glottal T, and that's very normal in many accents in British English, including contemporary RP.
I'm playing with tiny cute kittens.
In the Queen's English, for example, in part 1 of this series, the Queen would say that T sound, that true T. She would say kittens. But speakers of contemporary RP sometimes choose to use the glottal T. Sometimes they'll say a true T, sometimes they'll say the glottal T. Now, interestingly, Emma Watson has 3 different ways of saying the T. She says the glottal T, kittens. She will say with the true T, kittens. And she'll also use an Americanized version, which is kittens. Kittens is a kind of a D sound.
I'm playing with tiny cute kittens. We designed for Belle this ring that would sit on her little finger.
Here we have some interesting intonation. This intonation pattern is something called uptalk. It's where the speaker goes up at the end of the sentence, even though it's not a question. Okay, it's an affirmative sentence, but she has gone up as if it were a question, as if she were asking you for some information, but she's not.
Ring that would sit on her little finger.
That would sit on her little finger, so we're going up at the end. She does this again later on.
I just wanted to make sure that we stayed true.
That we'd stay true, going up. Now, the origins of this are debated. Linguists are not entirely sure. There is a theory that it came from Australian English, where it's much more common. Now, why have we had this influence from Australia? Well, it could be through culture, so television programs, films, things like that. It could be because of movement of young British people over to Australia. It's a very popular place to go as a young person to travel around. And possibly through those travel experiences, people have picked up that intonation pattern because it's quite catchy, and then brought it back to Britain. This intonation pattern is mostly found in young contemporary RP speakers.
I just wanted to make sure that we stayed true. Particularly young girls feel like their voice doesn't matter and what they have to say doesn't really matter.
Ah, amazing. She uses the same word, matter, and she pronounces it differently within 2 seconds of each other. In the first example, she uses an American style T, sort of that flap, that matter with the D sound. Then the second time, she uses a true T, matter.
Particularly young girls feel like their voice doesn't matter and what they have to say doesn't really matter. And I think I would want her to know that it does.
Now this sound is really important in received pronunciation and contemporary RP, is does, the ah. Now ah is a defining sound in RP because in Britain, the northern accents don't have that sound, whereas the southern accents and RP generally associated with the south does have that sound. Now in the northern accent it'd be does, the sound, whereas in RP it's ah. Other words that have that sound are like run or butter or Sunday. They all have that ah sound. Here's another example.
Shut up, Harry.
Up, up. Now can you imagine if Harry Potter was set in the north of England, let's say Yorkshire, what would it sound like? Up, up, up. Very different. So that ah sound is a very distinctive feature of contemporary RP.
So many times when people have told me that I can't do something, it's gonna be too hard or whatever else.
Here's another distinctive feature of contemporary RP. Can't and hard, that ah sound. Now you find that sound a lot in contemporary RP on A's. So glass or grass or bath or dance. In northern accents you would probably have like dance, bath, glass. In American English also that same ah sound, so dance, glass. So this R sound is particular to contemporary RP.
When people have told me that I can't do something, it's gonna be too hard or whatever else.
Guys, before we continue, let's just take a moment to appreciate these kittens.
The rose petals, look. Pretty rose petals. I had the sound guys play happy.
Here's a great word to contrast the Queen's English with contemporary RP. Happy. That E sound at the end, the Y has E, a long sound, E, happy. In the Queen's English, it's a shortened version, it's happy, happy. It's an I sound. This can be applied to any word with a Y on the end, so very, really, clearly, all those kinds of words. So in contemporary RP, you have a longer sound, happy.
I had the sound guys play happy. It's the most surreal thing I've ever seen. Everyone in costume and the Beauty and the Beast ballroom.
Okay, are you ready to dive deep into some pronunciation? Because this is really interesting. The words that she said were the Beauty and the Beast ballroom. The Beauty and the Beast ballroom. Clearly she didn't say it like that. She used lots of interesting features. So the first feature is that Americanized T, beauty, beauty. Then she used weak forms on and the. She didn't say and the, she said the, and the. So beauty and the Beast ballroom. Now, What's happened there? Now at the end of the word beast, you have a T. Now T is a plosive. What is a plosive? It's a sound that is made with air being released from your mouth. So T. You can feel the air on your hand. Now T is a plosive, and ballroom begins with B, which is also a plosive. B, B, B. You can feel the air again. When you have two plosives next to each other, like that, the first one is not released. So you wouldn't say beast, ballroom, that would take too long. So you don't release that first plosive sound. It's beast, ballroom, beast, ballroom. Can you hear that? I'm not releasing that T. Beast, ballroom. Okay, so let's hear that again. Let's hear her say that again.
Everyone in costume and the Beauty and the Beast ballroom.
So can you hear those features now? We've got the Americanized T on beauty, we've got the weak forms on and the, and we've got the plosive not being released on beast.
And the Beauty and the Beast ballroom. And the Beauty and the Beast ballroom.
And this is great for connected speech. If you want to make your sentences sound more fluent and connected, these are the kind of features you need to be incorporating. Now, just as a general observation about contemporary RP, you'll notice that there's a real emphasis on clarity. Emma Watson really tries to articulate all the sounds.
I loved it as a shorthand for ideas that I found really difficult to express myself.
Now, just quickly, to show you her versatility and the way that she can change her accent, let's have a look at her doing an American accent.
Hey guys, how sick is Channing Tatum's bod?
As you can see, very different. She has to change the shape of her mouth, extend some of those vowels, completely different. That's not an easy thing to do. I think she does it pretty well. So yeah, respect to Emma Watson. I want you guys to tell me, what do you think of Emma Watson's accent? What do you think about contemporary RP? Is it an accent that you like? Do you like listening to it? Is it one that you speak with? Tell me in the comments below. If you know anyone that would enjoy this video, please share it with them. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. This is Tom, the Chief Dreamer, saying goodbye.